I don't believe that Zouk and Kizomba are dying because I mean, they just have been privatized by the Colombians. And it's like reggaeton, Kizomba, Zouk, all these things are now becoming Latin music.
But this echoes what you were saying, Papa Keisha.
Yep.
I mean, look, sorry to cut you, but I'm sorry. Look at this, right? Again, other people from other countries see more value in what we do than ourselves. At a certain point, we need to wake up and stop thinking that we are
Preach.
stars when there are people who are making millions with the shit that you created
Hey.
because y'all happy being stars within your own little pussy and be like, hey, I'm the big this, I'm the big this. Bro, who the fuck are you big compared to? Like, let's check ourselves. Like, that's like me, right? At a certain point, I was feeling a certain way because people were taking my sound and doing their stuff and inspiring themselves and whatever. I was feeling like they were taking my sound when I think they were being inspired by myself. And Oshulade, one of my big mentors, was like, you should actually feel fortunate and honored because you're inspiring other people. Now, if they're copying you verbatim, it's okay. That's their process until they find their sound. But, you are inspiring people. So I'm not saying that I was probably not caught up in my ego because I was. But then when I got that reality check from that person who really has no, it's like when somebody's like you and me, when we talk, it's like, yo, it's real. There's no BS. The problem is that when people get to a certain level, I don't know if you noticed, they're successful, but then they become very sort of like resentful against whoever will give them points of views or axis of direction as to how and where they could take their work. And we experience that, you and I, often as we speak to a lot of people with whom we're trying to share the visions and the strategies that you shared with me that I've applied for my own business, etc., and spreading that gospel, that Kaysha gospel.
Yeah.
But you feel me? It's like when we seeing these things happening, when you just mentioned the Colombians and all that taking this sound, and it's like, dude, wow. Well, it's a beautiful thing, if we know how to take advantage of it. But it's almost like it's echoing what you were saying about the dancers. Yeah, y'all complaining about cultural appropriation, but what are you doing for your own culture? What are you doing for your own brand? For you to bring about a serious, whatever. Man.
Yeah, because if everybody is only dancing to trap and whatever's, and doing TikToks on music that is not yours, this is what happens. You have to you have to learn from what the Congolese do, from what the Nigerians do. Nigerians are pushing their sound worldwide. It's like one man, and at the same time they are opening a bit to the others, and they are letting some in. But they are really proud of their artists, and they are pushing their artists. And when they do all these dance videos, they do these dance videos to the genres that they like. And like I tell people, like, don't complain about what people do if you didn't do anything yourself. You can complain if people prevented you from having from having a voice, so that they can have a voice on top of yours. But if you didn't do nothing, you can't complain. You can complain that people are dancing things in the way they are dancing, and at the same time, you also have to let art be art, and art evolve by itself. This is something that I always say. But I used to complain like everybody, and at a point I said to myself, have your platform and start telling your stories. Start explaining who you are to the people who come to listen to you, and have those videos here. If you want people to know what is Afro House, what is Ancestral Soul, who did what, how, take the time to do a Monday talk or 2 or 3, and invite the people who are still here, who were there in the
Yeah,
beginning,
that's the point.
and
It's
start
copycat.
having the conversation in your platform, whatever the size it is, because one day somebody will type, "What is ancestral soul?" and your video will come first. And this is when this person will be like, "Okay, now I know what it is." One day I don't even know how I asked myself this, but I was having some questioning about wait, let me do something, because I'm hoping I didn't forget to do something. No, it's okay. Yeah, I was having this question about Zouk, but I don't remember exactly what was my question, but I was asking myself, okay, so what is Zouk? Like, who invented Zouk? What time? Where? Etc. And all of a sudden, I start ending up I found some information about what was Zouk, but I ended up in compa. And then I realized that compa came from something, that something, cadence came from something before. And then I start going in and finding videos of people explaining the different what was cadence. And I realized that there was an influence of Congo drums, because actually a lot of the slaves that became the people of Haiti were coming from Congo, or the Kingdom of Congo. So there was a lot of Congo drum, and all these came from Zouk and compa. Zouk came from compa, but compa actually, if you go a few hundred years before, it comes from the voodoo drums, and you can go, and then you can retrace with the slavery, and then all of a sudden I ended up learning about meringue, and then I was like, okay, what is meringue the same thing as merengue? No, because meringue is one side of the island, what was the French side, and then merengue is the Spanish side, and then all of a sudden you can start doing some diagrams and learning. But me, I'm a learner. I don't come and say, oh, these come from there. And maybe because I don't have a chip in the game, because I'm not Angolan, I'm not Cap Verdean, I'm not all this, so I don't really care who wins and where it's from. I can actually look at the information without being, I don't care if it comes from here or there, even if and then when you start really learning and finding all the information, then all of a sudden you actually feel great, because you're realizing that it actually comes from so many places at the same time. And then now you have to do a timeline. You have to start to understand. You have to understand the role of slavery in there. You also have to understand the role of the French, finally, because if they didn't play the music for their masters, they wouldn't have invented that music that way, because they came from their African rhythms and voodoo and religions. And then the masters told them, hey, play us from some cadence, which was actually some French music. And then they transformed the cadence in cadence, not with a C, but with a K. And all this I was reading, and I spent the whole night being, wow. And then all of a sudden I ended up realizing that, for example, I always thought that mazurka, for example, was a music from Martinique. And then I realized that no, it's the same thing. At a point, Martinique was, before it was owned by the French, it was owned by Austria. And the Austrian, they actually have something that is called mazurka. And the original mazurka, it sounds exactly like the one from the West Indies, just like the one from the West Indies has the syncopation, right? And then I was like, okay, so how did that, because I know there's some huge bands of mazurka in Martinique. And I was like, okay, wait, so how did this happen? And same thing. When those people came from their country to be in Martinique, to whatever, they would ask the slaves, yo, this is mazurka. I want you to play that thing with the violins and stuff. And then the slaves start transforming it and adding the flavor, adding the pili pili and the kwanga. And it's fascinating to realize that it's more than what you think. And
Absolutely.
it's so much more than what you think. But if the people don't know, and if you are the only one who has the information, but you don't give it to the people, how will the people know?